Well, here we are. Week 1 of climbing the mountain, done. And honestly, much tougher than I thought. I only made it 93 yards to here, Camp Caleb. Right now, it's time for the second edition of the iciest quarterback ranking in all of sports. Buckle up. It's time for Mahomes Mountain. Ah! Hotter than I thought.
It's well done, Kevin Wildes. It feels, you know, in a weekend when there were, you know, more than a dozen quarterbacks who turned the ball over, a handful of quarterbacks who lost their team's games, that much like I have never a doubt tattooed here, Wildes has on the small of his back tattooed wins are a quarterback stat. Yeah. So I would, I would think that you would. I would think that you would give Caleb a little more credit. Also, let me just tell the audience one thing. Early in the year, the mountain is quite slippery. The snow hasn't fully formed. Yeah. The weather's warm at times. So a lot of movement early in the year. Later in the year, less movement. Okay. You have more firm footing and more of a basis of a season. Permafrost has really taken hold. I'm not sure that's how permafrost works. I think it's always frozen. That's why it's called permafrost. Off the mountain! All right, listen, Jordan Love is not off because of his play. He didn't play great, obviously, but he wouldn't have gotten off the mountain, but he's hurt. Deshaun is off the mountain. Daniel Jones off the mountain. Russ, Will Levis, Bryce Young, and Bo Nix. All of those people were already off, or they were bottom row guys, so their performance slid them off. And you might say, Nick, so are we still even going to have 28 people on the mountain? We are. Row 7. Shout out Sam Darnold for making it on the mountain. Shout out Jacoby Brissett for making it on the mountain. Shout out Justin Fields for making it on the mountain. And shout out Jameis Winston and Drew Lock for getting on the mountain because they should be starting for their teams. This is only 4 starting quarterbacks, or in these cases, 2 guys who will be and should be starting quarterbacks for the Browns and the Giants. Jaden and Gardner stay where they're at. Row 6, listen. Kyler, some good and some bad, he stays where he is. Gino, 1 bad pick. Other than that, I thought he played well, but he stays where he is. Rodgers has to slide. Wildes, how many games without throwing 300?
24 games.
24 games, 1,003 days. Tom Brady has 2 400-yard games since Aaron Rodgers has 1 300-yard game, and Tom Brady's been retired for 2 seasons. Derek Carr moves up. Derek Carr, mountain historian checking in. First time not on the bottom row or off the mountain since week 10 last year. Wow. Look at Derek Carr. Nice guy. And then Kirk Cousins and Jalen Hurts both have to slide a row given their performance last week. To row 5, one of my favorite rows. Brock Purdy. Look at Brock Purdy.
Look at Brock Purdy.
What do you mean? He moved up. He's now knocking on the door of the top 10. This is the row of, this is the guys 11 to 15. I don't know. Mike Sando's 50 NFL execs ranked him 12th. It looks like the mountain might have a little same or more respect for him.
It doesn't go.
Jared Goff stays.
I
understand.
Right?
No, it doesn't. I said might. Anthony Richardson out here just throwing 9 completions for 210 yards. I love it.
Hit or miss.
And then, listen, the mountain is fair. The mountain can be cruel. The Prince slides 1 row. Caleb, with the biggest slide of anyone this week, slides 2 full rows on the mountain, despite not turning the ball over, getting a win, and a key 2-point conversion that doesn't show up in any stat sheets except, well, listen, it does, but it doesn't count for some reason. It's like an in-season tournament championship or a play-in. I'm just telling you, it literally, you look it up, you're like, hey, I saw Caleb throw a pass, be caught in the end zone. Why isn't that in box score? 2-point conversion doesn't count for some reason. All right, row 4, Bake Show.
Let's go.
3rd time ever in the top 10 on the mountain. Good for him. Tua has to move up. He leads the league in passing yards again. And I almost moved Lamar down. Wow. But the fear of Wilde's ire and the board, and Lamar sending another one of those pictures of that monkey with the giant nose in response to me, I couldn't deal with it. That's really caught on the internet. It's not nice, America. Row 3. Stroud stays where he is, and I almost moved him up 1. But you'll see who's above him, and I just couldn't find a place for him. Joe Burrow's got a slide. You could argue his slide should have been as precipitous as Caleb's. He, of course, actually did lose. And didn't have much more production than Caleb. But Burrow has a slightly larger body of work as a pro than Caleb, so he has a little more margin of error. And then Dak Prescott moved up.
Yeah.
I didn't think Dak made a mistake. I thought you're in a tough environment against a great defensive line. The added pressure of not only signing that contract, but that sweet blazer he was wearing walking in, he performed. And now to the top 3. Row 2. Josh Allen stays where he is, and Matt Stafford moves up. Man, Puka's out. You're on your 3rd string left tackle. You lose Steve Avila. You're holding it together with scotch tape, and you lead a 14-point comeback on the road against a team a lot of people think is going to the Super Bowl. You, once again, just can't quite get it done against the Detroit Lions, but I thought Stafford was brilliant. And then, of course, a little anticlimactic, Patrick Mahomes stays atop his namesake mountain. After last week, Greg, you weren't here. Coach Mangini ripped the mountain apart, and these guys, like jackals on the hill, were just hooting and hollering, rooting for him. This week's mountain is beyond reproach. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not going to rip the mountain apart. I will say Matthew Stafford played a heck of a game. I thought he had one of the better days. And my guy, Baker.
Wow.
Your guy.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Baker because I don't know how many times we're going to have this moment to be able to talk about Baker. Baker had one of the best performances of Week 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
If not the best performance out of all the quarterbacks of Week 1. And if Baker were someone else, or if he had made it work in Cleveland and had not fallen off from good graces and gone into Carolina and made it work, and now all of a sudden is on his revised contract and last leg, if you will, making it work down in Tampa Bay with the Buccaneers, I think Baker will be getting more credit than he's been given. Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, and you're going to say the mountain is not left or right, he would be above Herbert for me. With what he was able to do off of last season into the playoffs, literally took the Detroit Lions to the brink, could have won that game, fell short not because of his performance, rolled right into this season and took off right where he left off. Baker Mayfield, you have been impressive, my friend. I'm going to give you your flowers right now. I don't know how much elite quarterback play you're going to have for the remainder of the season, but right now, you're playing like an elite quarterback, my friend.
And Greg,
Sweet and sour there.
I mean, his last 7 games averaging around 300 yards, a 105 or 107 something quarterback rating. Listen, I agree with you entirely. As you very well do know, the mountain isn't left to right, so he's not ahead or behind Justin Herbert. They're just next to each other because it has to, there has to be some order. Were you going to say something, Brew?
No, I'm ready
okay.
to rock and roll.
No, Brew's just excited. Brew's champing at the bit, as they say. Brew, go right ahead, because I agree with you on Baker. He could never be too high.
I'm not focused on this guy, but
here we
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. Caleb should be lower. I mean, he just
How
wasn't
far
good.
do you want him to slide?
Like, probably that last row. I mean, just now he can move up, but he was bad. All right, last row. I'm going to focus on Brock Purdy, though. I want Purdy to move up and Dak to move down. Wow. Because Brock Purdy has beaten Dak Prescott in the playoffs. Brock Purdy, in his short year-and-a-half career, has gone to 2 NFC championship games, 1 Super Bowl, which Dak Prescott, of course, has never done. In his 8 previous seasons, he's only won 2 playoff games. Purdy won 2 of those in his rookie year last year. So Purdy should have been higher. But then Week 1, this is what happened. Let's look at the numbers. Purdy has a better passer rating. Purdy has more yards he throws for. Yards per attempt is a significant difference. Completion percentage as well. And Dak did have 1 touchdown. But Purdy also, Nick, had 4 completions of 20 or more air yards, 1 completion of 30 or more air yards. Dak only had 2 of 20 or more and 1 of 30 or more. So Purdy came in with more credentials and then was better in Week 1. So I think he should be higher than Dak.
Listen, I thought Purdy played well yesterday. I don't think he was better in Week 1. I think Dak's numbers are some of the more misleading numbers of the weekend, because when they started the game and when it was a close game, he did whatever they wanted, move the ball down the field, And then once they were up multiple scores and it was very clear Cleveland was not starting an NFL caliber quarterback, and they pulled everything back and got uber conservative. As far as what you're saying that they should have started the year in different places, Brew, you throw MVP race in front of me all the time as far as how they should have started the year, about how Purdy came in fourth. Dak Prescott did come in second in that. But I am also most curious about this. You want Purdy and Dak to flip-flop is what you're saying?
Not so much that. I'm just saying I think Purdy should move up. I still would probably have Lamar next to Burrow, but Purdy up, up.
Purdy up one, and then, okay, all right. Well, I was going to say you're going to have Purdy ahead of Lamar.
I know you were going to.
You avoided that bear trap, so well done. KW?
We're giving Joe Burrow a grace that we give to no other excellent quarterback. Because why? He got hurt at the end of last year and hurt at the beginning of the year, but he had a little period where he was excellent and reminded you of the Joe Burrow that was in the Super Bowl. This Sunday, Joe Burrow was terrible, just like he is at the beginning of most of the seasons that he plays. Here is the worst records in weeks 1 and 2 because it's a rich tapestry. It's a little bit looking back, a little bit looking forward. Joe Burrow is 1-8. Lost to the Patriots, and now he's got the Chiefs.
Two great quarterbacks
on
that graphic.
Okay, now he's got the Chiefs with extra rest. He's got to go into Arrowhead. Maybe he does this Joe Burrow thing and pulls off a miracle against Mahomes. Maybe he starts the season 0-2, and this graphic says 1-9. Say, well,
dirty pool.
What?
You did minimum 7 starts, even though Burrow has 9, and everyone else has 9, just to get Trevor on the graphic. I know what you and Josh are looking up.
They did
it just to get Trevor on the graphic.
I want to bang on Trevor.
It would have even been more telling. It would have been more telling.
That is a pure Burrow graphic. Trevor's going 2-5.
Everyone else has 9, minimum 7.
No, that's what it is.
Go ahead.
In any event, then Joe Burrow just didn't look like himself. At the beginning of last year, the calf hurt, so he couldn't throw the ball deep. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. He said, no big deal. It's the calf. Well, he didn't throw the ball deep against the Patriots either. Now, maybe the Patriots' defense is just way better than everyone gives them credit for. I buy some of that. But just emotionally, there was no fear in my heart of Joe Burrow inflicting any damage on us. And they're like, well, here's the other excuse. T wasn't there. T's got his hamstring. Well, he's usually okay without him, but he wasn't okay against the Patriots. And again, maybe this is just a very pro-Patriots segment, but if it was, I would probably be like, it's all Patriots. I'm telling you, Joe Burrow does not look the same, and there was enough is his wrist okay talk during the broadcast that makes me think something is up. Here's how much talk I wanted about his wrist in the broadcast. 0. Not one thing. He's 100% fine. We don't talk about Dak's ankle in the broadcast. We don't have to talk about Joe Burrow's wrist. But there was enough, and enough of these. I'll say enough. There's enough of these. Let's see a little bit of that. See a little bit of that. Uh-oh. I'm right there. I'm on hobble watch. I'm on wristwatch. He does
wristwatch?
Yeah, wristwatch.
That's a fun.
Ever heard of that?
Yeah, well, in a different context.
I invented it.
All right, so I am going to do something I rarely do, which is say, first of all, I think you make some good points. Second of all, I also think you almost assuredly watched Bengals Patriots closer than most of America.
Oh, I'm locked in.
You know what I mean? No, it's 1 o'clock kick.
Totally
right, and you have the I think you're one of the only people outside of New England, Cincinnati that have the sound on it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm watching 6 games and I'm following it. So if they were talking about his wrist, I didn't hear.
Just a little bit.
You know,
Two basketballs before the game.
So yeah, so I buy your analysis on this to a degree. But you're also correct that I am giving Joe Burrow a grace because that first graphic to me almost works against you, not against you, but works in Joe's favor, which is he's bad at the beginning of every season.
But then,
and then also.
Yeah, but meet me in week 3 of the mountain then.
Well, early in the season, where do you want me to put him? What do you want me to do?
Where he deserves to be. In the guys who threw for...
Where he deserves to be based off last year.
Why is he ahead of Lamar?
Because he's better than Lamar.
He's not better than Lamar. If Lamar does the whole offense, running around, hitting people, throwing touchdowns, throwing almost touchdowns, Joe Burrow was doing nothing.
No,
nothing.
Lamar was way better in week 1. There's no doubt about
That's
that.
what are we talking about?
It's a rich tapestry.
It's not a rich tapestry.
It is.
And I showed you week 2, and he's bad in week 2.
Well, let's see. I can't predict he's going to be bad.
And when they go head-to-head, who wins? Lamar.
4-1.
Get the board out.
4-1.
I don't want to rip Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow. I like his haircut.
You don't like Joe Burrow. You put Howard.
No, but I like Lamar.
Hold on.
Joe Burrow, you got to put Joe Burrow on a pedestal and take Lamar down.
Wildes was 2 hours ago in the office bellowing, "How low can he go, Joe?" The whole time. Bellowing.
I was
you were
trying
singing.
to do a get low thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Show.
Yeah.
I wasn't like going to work on the railroad.
Okay.
How low?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that means.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.